Global trade across the world has witnessed a paradigm shift. The demand for organic products has been booming across various categories. We at the Middle East Organic and Natural Products Expo 2020 are accelerating businesses through digitization. Introducing the Organic and Natural Digital Trade Week, a virtual event dedicated to connecting world-class organic product suppliers to the relevant VIP buyers in the Middle East. 5 months of online trade activities focusing on specific product segments ranging from superfoods to functional cosmetics. Week-long focused campaigns aimed at connecting overseas suppliers with local and regional buyers to open new trade and business opportunities. Each trade week includes live sessions with new product introductions and interactive product presentations, individual online meetings function, instant quotes from suppliers through the Middle East's only dedicated online wholesale marketplace for organic and natural products, panel discussion on demand and new opportunities from trade buyers to functional cosmetics. All the elements of an expo available digitally. We make sure you do business 365 days of the year from the comfort of your home. A platform to trade online before we all gather for the Grand Expo from 15th to 17th December in Dubai.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Digital Trade Week, co-hosted with the Dubai Chamber of Commerce. I am Abhishek Ganapati, the Sales Director for the Middle East Organic and Natural Products Exhibition in Dubai. We are excited to bring to you the 6th edition of the Digital Trade Week, an initiative by the Middle East Organic and Natural Products Exhibition, Dubai. It is the first of its kind and has been successfully connecting buyers and suppliers from across the globe, especially during such challenging times. Over the last 2 months, we have successfully hosted nearly 25 industry leaders in organic and natural products, discussing the upward trends in consumption, patterns, market opportunities, trade potential, and more towards the growing demand of organic and natural products in the Middle East. We are today on our 6th trade week session, focusing on the shifting dynamics of food trade in the Middle East. The session will highlight some of the topics such as the current food market challenges, the changes and opportunities for food importers and exporters, and food security measures undertaken by GCC countries amid COVID-19, with an action plan for immediate, medium, long-term strategy. The change in consumer consumption behavior, and the growing demand for organic foods and products across the Middle East. The session will present an exclusive opportunity to international businesses, trade entities, to better understand the current market expectation and the way forward with the GCC food market. A quick note to all our audience: if you have any questions, please state them in the chat box and we will address them accordingly. Having said that, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce to you our esteemed panelists who have taken their time out of the busy schedule to be a part of this important session. In today's session, you will notice a representation from the top 3 countries that export to the UAE. So let's start by introducing the session co-host, Dubai Chamber of Commerce. We have here Mr. Omar Khan, who is the Director of International Offices at Dubai Chamber of Commerce and leading the global development and management of the Dubai Chamber International Offices. For most of us following Dubai Chambers and the initiatives would very well be aware of Mr. Khan due to his continuous contribution, engagement, and representation for Dubai Chambers. Mr. Khan currently manages around 11 offices across Eurasia, Africa, and Latin America. Prior to his current position, Mr. Omar Khan successfully held leading positions at Dubai Chamber as Membership and Documentation Services Department Director, representing Dubai Chamber at the ICC World Chambers Federation on Trade Facilitation as Customer Service Center Director, during which he helped transform Dubai Chamber from having a customer-centric department to being a customer-centric organization. Mr. Khan has led training sessions in Dubai and also the GCC to help implement the ATA CarNet system across the region. Welcome on board, Mr. Khan, and we're looking forward to a very informative session from your side.
Thank you, Abhishek.
Great. So now moving on to Mr. Kurt Siafat, the Agriculture Counselor in United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, Office of Agriculture Affairs in the United States Consulate in Dubai. He also looks at regions such as countries such as Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, and the UAE. He has an undergraduate degree from the College of George Washington University, Elliott School of International Affairs, and an MS in Agriculture Economics from the University of Georgia's College of Agriculture and Environment Science. An interesting fact about Kurt is that he's a history buff of the US Constitution. Welcome on board, Mr. Siafat, and glad you could join us today. We are now moving on to Dr. Tarun Bajaj, who is the Director at APIDA, the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. Dr. Tarun Bajaj is the Director at APIDA, and APIDA has a mandate to promote, develop, export of agriculture and processed food from India. Dr. Tarun Bajaj has more than 25 years of experience in handling exports of agriculture and processed food, including developing supply chain quality assurance, market promotions, handling market access issues. Interesting fact, Dr. Tarun Bajaj has done his doctorate in economics, an MBA, and is specialized in foreign trade. Also is a law graduate in addition to other professional qualifications. Welcome on board, sir. We're looking forward to some valuable insights from you. Now, moving on to Mr. Sauro Sarvade, who is the manager at Artex Italy. He has been associated with Artex for more than 1.5 decades. That's quite some time, sir. Sarvade connects the entire world with Tuscany region, a single point of contact for more than 24,000 companies in the region for all their products and marketing across the world. Mr. Sarvade is the chief of the press office of the Tuscany Regional Committee and director in charge of the press agency and the CNA Tuscanan Monthly. The design and development and promotional projects, communication activities of Artex and training are held by Mr. Sauro Sarvade. Glad to have you on board, sir. Now, last but not least, we have Mr. Fan Chen. Mr. Fan Chen has about 10 years of experience in the food industry and is the spokesperson for East China Food Exporters Association. He's also working with Royal Food Distribution, distributing over 4,500 plus containers of non-perishable fruits, vegetables annually. So for a mixed customer like national retailers, major restaurant chains, large and small scale manufacturers, and food service distributors all over the world. His top 25 customers have been customers for 5 or more years. He very closely monitors the change in market, raw material, shipping cost, import-export policies, as well as weather patterns to ensure Royal Food products are packed efficiently and affordably. Welcome on board, sir. It is a great pleasure to have you all on board. Thank you for your time. Now, to start with the session, I would like to address Mr. Omar Khan with the first question. Ready, sir?
Yes, always ready.
So, Mr. Khan, as most of us have noticed, the UAE and the Dubai government have been working extremely hard to successfully mitigate the curves related around COVID-19 situation when it comes down to reactivating regional trade or tourism. Right? That being said, we've also noticed the tremendous efforts by the government towards food security. There are some fantastic efforts by the government, and we ensure to see the fruit of it very soon. Right? Now, I've been looking into some recent articles and the latest statistics about Dubai food imports for the first half of 2020, right? Now, from the stats that I see, there's a total value of 300 billion of food commodities, right, in the first half, and about 1 billion in fish, about 3.9 billion in livestock and meat, and about dirhams 7 billion in vegetable and fruits. Now, if I have to segregate this between import and exports, let's say about dirhams 22 billion of the 30 billion is an import of food commodities, right? And about 755 million of the 1 billion in imports of fish, right? And the same goes with vegetable and fruits, whereas 4.5 billion dirham worth of imports in vegetable and fruits. Now, this is a very promising start, right, for 2020, especially for the food exporters into Dubai, given the post-pandemic situation. So could you please help us understand the forthcoming market challenges, opportunities, strategies Dubai has in place that could help importers as well as exporters combat the momentary situation?
Thank you very much, Abhishek, and thank you for having us today. And I would like to say that I hope everybody's safe and sound wherever you are around the world. Now, in terms of the COVID-19, you know, the UAE and the Dubai government moved quite fast. We had the timing was a positive note for us because we were just about to enter into Ramadan, and we're still in the high season, so we were very well stocked. And estimates were up to 6 months easily, with praise to be to God and our leadership as well. So that was a very good point for us to go over the lockdown and the concern whether we could handle the food security. Now, going forward, this is going to be very interesting because food trade is a big part of our lives. We're here 3 million people in Dubai, 9 million in the UAE, but we also in Dubai alone cater to 15.9 million tourists per year. So we're used to bringing the food in and distributing it through the tourists and also through wholesale around the world. Now, we also take this as a very important responsibility because we're a transshipment hub, the third largest in the world, and we are surrounded by countries that are in the desert. So again, this is another important responsibility put on our shoulders. Now, the challenges ahead are, of course, with restrictions towards the travel, tourism, and logistics. We, as Dubai, as the UAE, as the government and the private sector, need to reactivate ourselves in a safe way, but reactivate as soon as possible. We saw through the lockdown areas, there were restrictions, for example, on export restrictions. So we realized that, okay, diversity from our food sources is very important. We saw logistics challenges at ports. We saw also labor challenges because of lockdown in certain areas. We were faced with challenges. And again, so we had to make our logistics system more robust. Now, the good news is in hard times, partners and countries that are smaller can be much faster. Imagine us as a speedboat and the larger economies more as the Titanic. They're very slow, and they're very hard to maneuver. So that presents a very good opportunity. Now, if you connect that with where we are in the world, in between the East and the West, the supply chain and logistics facilities that we have, the reliability and the professionalism and also the financial capabilities of our and telecommunication network, we can really move a lot of products. We have a very strong cold storage capability as well, and food wastage is at a minimum. So there's a lot of opportunities now, but the name of the game is being connected, and this is why we are all here today. Now there's a shift, away maybe from the luxury food products, the luxury items, and I've seen examples of regular staples and some processed foods, for example, with our Russian partners in the Russian market that have gone up 300%. So there's a definite opportunity here for people who want to take advantage of us. Now, the other opportunity is e-commerce. Now, it's not a matter of whether we need food or not. We all need food. So that's one of the industries that are safe, but it's the distribution channels, the storage, the speed of delivery, and so on and so forth. And we have seen a lot of e-commerce platforms open up the market, where you're no longer as a new entrant to the market with your food product, whether it's fruits and vegetables or processed and branded products, you don't have to go through a few gateways to be on shelves. So that market has been completely disrupted, especially in Dubai, and so it's a good time. So with a robust, a fast and clear economy that is slowly coming out of the pandemic, the first spike, and we're being very careful and very optimistic. I think we have a lot to give, because we're seeing many different economies slowly still getting into it, slowly asking whether they should take action here, they should take action there, where Dubai and the UAE with their partners have a clear mission, a clear action plan, and we have to get back to business. And you're seeing the Emirates flights reactivating, you're seeing tourists being welcomed, you're seeing standards being put. So again, it's a mixed bag of opportunities, but us being at the forefront, we reflect what the world is going through, but we can be much faster, we can be very reliable, and we could be a safe storage hub for food security around the world as a partner.
Interesting. I mean, I think what I can say about, or what we could say about this is looking into what's been happening in Dubai, or looking into the action plan, initiatives that Dubai has been taking. Dubai or the UAE and the UAE government have get themselves set up really well, fully equipped and planned how to move forward. Like you said, by opening the doors for tourism and trade, it is not something that, that some regions could easily adapt into, right? The level of confidence and the kind of assurance that it's giving the people is something really that we need to consider or capitalize on. Moving into the next question, it would be around food security. Right? Could you please help us understand the measures taken by UAE and Dubai governments to address food security and the positive impact it could have with other nations through your investments or through your partnerships?
Well, being in the desert is a blessing for us, and not depending on oil and not depending on other monopolized sources of income has been also a blessing. We never forget that we are in a very tough environment. So food security is always on our minds. In 2017, the UAE government constituted the Ministry of Food Security, and Her Excellency Mariam Al-Maheri was assigned this portfolio. And since then, we have gone from from a much lower rank to being 21st in the world for food security. And now food security is very simple. It's having ample, nutritious, and safe food at affordable prices for the nationals and the expatriates to consume in a dependable way. So again, this is something that it's a very simple goal. And like I said, there is an added responsibility. We're not only responsible for our own community, we are a transshipment hub. So we have to think of all our partners. Now, also the UAE started the Emirates Council for Food Security, and with it also a Dubai committee that we are very heavily involved in. In addition to that, there was, of course, the food security online system that regulated and monitored all the different foods, and especially the staples, and alerted people and the business community and the government of any low stocks. So that was important. Now, I said we reached 21st globally. That's on par with Japan. But we want to be, we have 1 year to be first or close to that. And as people might say that's impossible living in the desert, but the #1 position goes to Singapore, and Singapore imports up to 90% of its food. So again, they're a good inspiration for us. If they can do it, we want to do it. And even we worked with the government, and even the private sector told us about how they ensured that restocking was always there. They were on the clock 24 hours restocking, because a communication and the creation of a panic is just as bad as the actual scarcity of food. So they always ensured the stocks were always on display. People were calm. The government was communicating on all the channels. And of course, as I said, it's about innovation going forward. We need to be smarter. And now also it's more important to have solutions and aggregation of food here in better facilities, such as more silos, more food processing. So if any issues happen, we do have raw materials stored here. And of course, around the world, we don't do things alone here in the UAE. We always work with partners. We have farming solutions and partnerships all over the world in the Southern Hemisphere and the Northern Hemisphere that we work with to ensure that we have ample stocks that are to be exported. But they also rely also on having open logistics channels and good relationships with the country. So, I mean, this is very quickly, and I am trying to catch my breath, but the government and the private sector have really been working hard. We don't stand still. We don't wait twiddling our thumbs. We really have to take action because we're in the desert. We always remember that fact.
Very interesting, Mr. Khan. And I think from what we see, you are moving ahead and towards the vision that you have.
One very quick fact, we went in the past 2 years, 3 years from 17,000 tons of food spoilage to less than 1 ton now also. So again, before you recycle, reduce, reuse, then recycle. So we're also trying to really shave off efficiency as much as possible. So again, that shows the spirit of Dubai and the UAE.
Brilliant, sir, brilliant. I mean, there is a vision, and the most important fact is working towards that vision, and the ranking itself states how trying to achieve that vision, right? Being number one isn't too far away, I believe. I'm quite sure that you would achieve taking that position, because we've seen you develop or grow your ranks, very recently. And quite an interesting fact about the wastage as to how you've come down from 17 tons to 1 ton. I mean, that's amazing, actually. So thank you for the insight and the detailed information. I would like to ask the other panelists over here, would you have any questions, or would you like to add any comments to what Mr. Omar Khan has made?
Certainly, I'd like to jump in there, Mr. Khan. The chamber is, I don't know, so emblematic of the solutions that led the UAE to the position they are now. I think when we write the books on this particular crisis, on the level of food security and planning, it will go to the UAE on how they handled things. And the bedrock of that were the relationships that Mr. Khan alluded to, the partnerships in trade. If you look at the strategy that the ministry put out, the Food Security Ministry put out, it's a myriad of things, and it's a logical pattern with things from the very beginning of a crisis management, thinking before a crisis comes to after a crisis is over on reflection. The UAE did not have to go to the bedrock of crisis because of those relationships. It's the bedrock of the chamber's inclusion when it comes to decision making in business. If a business needs to find solutions, they go to the chamber to be a partner to solve things with government. Those are the things that have already been done that make things move smoothly in the UAE. I know when the Food Security Committee, Food Security Council came together very early in the crisis, it was a discussion of how do we streamline everything. Immediate decisions were made on paperwork that had already been kind of question marked beforehand. We don't need this. We can move these things through. We concentrate on food safety, availability, and things moved beautifully. And I think those relationships that we all have, all the countries involved here through the WTO on trade facilitation, making trade do the job of food security and how that can help it. I mean, the UAE has storage, has reserves, all of those things that will get you through the most desperate crisis. But when you have friendships, reliable rules and regulations, everybody knows what to expect and how reliable that buyer is, and what the reliability of that supplying country. I mean, amongst the countries here, we're supplying the bulk of what comes into the UAE, and they could trust us. They knew that relationship before the crisis stood the test of time. We delivered, glitches here and there, But then we also knew, my American suppliers knew that things could get here, that they would be treated fairly. The rules-based system was involved, the legal system, also the chamber's domain to make sure is running well. So these are the things that are food security and will get us through the system. Once again, I think we can go back to the idea in a couple of months. Inshallah, we'll be reviewing, the best practices, and I think a big chapter will be here in the UAE. Thank you.
Thank you. That was very insightful again. Now, moving back to our next panelist, that will be yourself again, Mr. Sefa. So we have recently noticed a report stating the UAE organic food firms reported a COVID-19 related demand spike of about 300 to 400% in product sales, right? Now, this could have been due to the change in the mindset of the consumer, especially post-COVID, and going forward, this could be turning into a norm towards a healthier lifestyle, right? So now, considering that the United States is one of the largest producers of organic and natural products globally, how would you rate and evaluate the potential opportunities available across the GCC region for organic and natural products? Do you think that it could be one of your strongest markets for the producers and exporters in the coming years, especially when the GCC is heavily import dependent?
Thank you for that question, Abhishek. I think you can safely say that my office, certainly with all the American products that we can put forward, we feel as though we haven't served the market in the UAE and the region as well as we could. I put some of that blame on you for not getting your trade show up and running. And we have to find space in Gulf Food to do that. However, with the initiatives that you've undertaken to highlight the show and some remarkable offer that you've had the chance to tell me about, to get into that special relationship mode again, very important, is key to that. I think we all know that the U.S. is the largest organic market in the world. We have an enormous, craving and demand for it, and we produce the best organic products and the most innovative organic products in the world. Those products are gobbled up quite quickly in the U.S., but they are finding markets around the world. I think one of my challenges is to get the interesting and dynamic products in the U.S. outside the U.S. because they need to grow and fulfill that American demand as well. But once again, that's on its way. I mean, the UAE is the 7th largest organic market in the world, and that attracts attention. Back to the strategy, export strategy, the food security strategy, and what Mr. Khan was talking about, making this the hub is the enticing thing. Organic can be a product. It can be an ingredient in another product that could be produced around the world in different locations. So I think that we are certainly at the beginning of days, especially in the Middle East, for the growth of the market. We know that the organic market in the U.S. grew 5% in 2019, and data is not confirmed, but it's well above that in the new environment that we are in. The U.S. Is highlighting the fruit and veg is always the biggest one. Breads and grains, dairy, organic beverages, and packaged goods are all leading the way on this sort of stuff. Organic sales in the U.S. are almost 6% of total sales in 2019. You look at some charts and that's sort of somewhat plateauing, and I think that means that we're talking about why is organic the most expensive thing on the menu or on the shelf, and I think that's where sort of the egality of organics will meet its next challenge. You know, if you go shopping online here in the UAE, you can see that that some of the organic products are you can get an organic product grown here in the UAE that will match a regular product coming from somewhere else. So these things are becoming very dynamic, and people are looking for those opportunities to join the organic club, and we certainly want to make it as egalitarian as possible. When it comes to the organic information coming out of the U.S., it's we have a very strong organic trade association, which is advocating for those producers, and a very robust disciplinary organization in the National Organic Program. And the National Organic Program is the leader in certifying organic. And they're also in a position where they're trying to make it as available. This kind of certification, while it's daunting to get it, should be sustainable to have it. And the organic program has also reached around the world. They have an equivalency with the European Union. So the friendship in organic is worldwide. You know that you can find an organic symbol such as USDA organic, and it is transferable. And I don't think there was anything more welcome than when the UAE joined that club of accepting on the faith of those strong, robust programs of delivering exactly what the customer wants, to make sure that there was no fee or extra certificate or other thing that could impede access to that product. So there's no little extra cost to get a product from Europe or the US for that certification. And that's the thing. And it goes back to that food safety mantra that came out, that if it wasn't necessary, the UAE didn't need or didn't want it to impede the availability of food. Never did you have to go to a rescue mode when you knew that the supplier could bring their product to the market and get it through the processes. Food safety, number one, food availability right after that. So I think probably rambled on enough, but it's such a testament to effortless movement through making things as easy and technically as responsible as possible. Makes for just a this is where trade wants to go. So that's great. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. I think to add to it, when you look at the UAE, let's say, okay, when you look at UAE or Dubai, and when traders or producers or exporters want to come here, do business or get their products involved in the market, there is very good transparency as to how they need to go about it. There's a very clear system in place, and there is an ease of getting involved or doing business when it comes to trading in the UAE. Especially like you mentioned, there's no complication in terms of certification of product. USDA is very clearly accepted. Many certifications are accepted as well here in the region. And coming down to the point about the market potential, and you seeing opportunities over here, we are more than happy to guide you holding hands and show you, how we could help you capitalize on the market here in the UAE and the Middle East region. We could talk more about it, later this week or sometime next week, and see, what could be done. Having said that, I just wanted to understand, would anyone else from the panel would like to add a comment or any questions for Kurt? That's enough. Okay, no problem. So moving on, we have Dr. Tarun Bajaj, and so the question is, to Dr. Tarun Bajaj. Yeah. Dr. Bajaj, we have seen some recent news articles, talking about UAE entities expected to invest around an approximate of $7 billion in India's food sector, right, in the next 5 years, as a part of the UAE-India Food Corridor project, now which actually aims towards the UAE's food security. Currently, the India food export to UAE stands at almost $1.8 billion, placing India among the top exporters to the region. Now, India is also becoming a major player in the organic foods and heavily investing to this sector. Now, how do you see India playing an important role as leading exporter for the Middle East region towards the growing demand for organic foods? Something in the similar lines that I've asked Kurt, but obviously two different regions and products as well. So I just wanted to see what efforts Peter would initiate into this.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you very much for asking this very important question, because this is very important for both the countries, for both the regions, I would call it. Our exports to the world is of food products is approximately 38 billion US dollars. And to the GCC world, of course, comes out to around 6 billion. And you have rightly said to UAE is approximately 1.8 billion, but UAE's import from the world is approximately 18 billion. That means we are just 10% of the total import, what UAE is importing food products. And of course, UAE is also a destination which they re-export to the neighboring countries and also to the African countries. We, in fact, you rightly said, can play an important role in this, and for reasons that we have historical relationship, we are very close in the proximity, friendly nations, and we understand taste and preferences of each other. Many of our expatriates are already settled in the region, so that makes us things simpler. And of course, the first preference when we call it, I have no hesitation in calling it India being the first preference for this purpose. We have a surplus available of food products. Despite feeding 1.3 billion population, we have the surplus. You know, when we are exporting 38 billion to the world, that means we have a surplus. We have the surplus, availability of the produce, and UAE, for the geographical reasons, they would be needing food, they would be importing, they'll be a net importer for a substantial period in the coming time because of, as I said, geographical limitations. So that's why the food security, what UAE is contemplating, we are a right partner for that purpose. And at government level, highest level, these things are, talks are going on, and we are in process of going forward in that sense. We are very keen to have food factories, storages, silos, all these things established in India, which is dedicated for UAE. Also, the other infrastructure which is required, especially for UAE, so that their food security need is met. When we come to organic food, of course, organic India is coming up, emerging a very important country for organic foods also, because we are organic by default. 40% of our cultivation is organic by default. It is just that we have to get it certified, follow a process, and then export it. Fortunately, we have equivalency agreement with European Union. We also have a conformity assessment agreement with the USA. Very soon, we are going to enter into other agreements and MRAs with other countries like Canada, Taiwan, South Korea, and other countries. We already have this established, robust, organic institutional framework. Export organic products as per the established international norms, since we have equivalency with European Union, or standards are same like European Union. The process is same like European Union. We assure products, when we say organic, we assure that this is organic and as per the international practices. Presently, of course, we are mostly exporting to USA, European Union, Canada, and Switzerland, but UAE and other GCC countries are emerging important destination. COVID has played an important role. The taste and preferences among the people. After COVID, what we are seeing is they are more conscious about organic and health food. They are more conscious about basic needs, and in the needs they want more safer food, the food which is safe from all aspects. Organic is an obvious choice for that reasons. We are exporting, of course, to Saudi Arabia, UAE, and other GCC countries. But of course, we are now hoping that in the coming times, our organic produce, besides other produce for food security reasons, but organic produce will also be a first preference for the coming times. And we have a wide range of organic produce to offer. The best part is we have almost all the scope, uh, the standards which are there, whether it is crop, processed food, livestock, feed, all sorts of aquaculture, all sorts of apiculture, even our textile organics. So we are now having wide range of scopes, almost every scope which is there prevalent, we have it now, and we are offering to the world, which we are going to offer to the UAE also. And in the coming times, we feel we will be having more further strengthening relationship, of course, starting from the food security reasons, but of course, from the organic and health foods, exporting more to UAE.
Interesting, sir. Thank you. And I had another question for you, but I think you've answered most of the elements within this question itself. But in any case, I would like to go ahead and ask that question. Now, considering the relationship, the partnership that you're building with nations, including UAE, playing a role in the food security, agreement, so on and so forth, and also trying to drive the organic product growth, right, within the country to push into the Middle East market. And obviously you have major markets within Europe and US, but there is an opportunity here in the Middle East as well. Going forward, what impact could this have, on the Indian agro export market or the Indian, organic product market specifically? When I say organic, yes, food is a major part of it, but like you said, there's environment as well, there's living, different kinds of products. So any initiative taken by, the entity to drive this aggressively for your closest market, which is the Middle East, when compared to your largest export, which is Europe or US?
Yes, definitely. I would tell you one thing, when it comes to the food products, during COVID, there was lockdown. There was many limitations within the country and also the country of import. Just want to tell you that despite all these limitations, we assured that the whatever orders and the demands which were coming from UAE and other GCC countries, I'm specifically talking to that because of course we met needs of other countries also. But since we are focusing UAE and other GCC countries, I'm also addressing that. In fact, whatever was the demand, whatever was the requirement, we made sure that that is supplied, the supplies are ensured despite lockdown. You can understand when there is a lockdown, so many limitations are there, but we made sure the supplies are uninterrupted to UAE and other countries. Even sometimes, fresh fruits and vegetable, we send it through chartered planes to ensure that these supplies are there to gain a confidence. And that's why the buyers in UAE and other countries, they say that during the difficult time, India has proved to be a consistent and assured partner. They have ensured that during this time, even during this time, the crisis time, they have supplied the products what they wanted. When we come to the organic, you rightly said that we are now focusing more on organic within the country. We have taken a step. We are strengthening more our organic infrastructure. Though as of date, we have around 3.8 million hectares of land already certified. We have 1.45 million farmers who are connected with this, the largest network we have it. Despite this, we are now strengthening, widening further our organic base so that we have more surplus, more volume to offer. Because we are seeing demand coming up within country also of organic. So besides we have to meet the demand within the country, at the same time we have to meet the demands which is coming from the outside the country. We are strengthening our base, increasing our production, organic, In fact, our Honorable Prime Minister is specifically having focus on organic agriculture, and he's also focusing on that. When I said we are now strengthening our own house, similarly, our own infrastructure, institutional framework is further strengthening, network. We are entering into more and more MRAs, mutual recognition agreements with other countries, because we have our own import regulations are also established. People are also interested to export to India. So that way we are having a more and more agreements with the countries, so that they are also able to export to India if of their choice produce. And we are now similarly MRAs and also doing a massive market promotion campaign to tell the world that now India is here to offer the best produce, the best organic produce. And I tell you, we are not expensive. The best part is we offer the best, we meet all the standards, but we are not as expensive as we have seen in the world. We are expensive almost 25 to 30% of the conventional food, and which I think this much organic cultivator needs, not more than that. So we are not expensive. We are offering the best food. This is what we want to tell the world. We're coming on a massive marketing campaign, and through our network, and of course, we are using a platform like yours to tell the world, yes, look to India for the best produce. We can meet your need of ample food, nutritional food, safe food, but at the same time, economical, not very expensive.
Okay. Okay, interesting there. I mean, one thing I couldn't help notice is Mr. Kurt's having a smile when it came to the cost factor of the product. Going to be, a challenging one here. So what I've noticed is basically you are working on the right infrastructure, to have the right infrastructure and to be there, to take the #1 place when it comes to fully going export ready for organic, right? And focusing on markets that you want to focus. Quite sure that you would get there, and it's just a matter of time, right? And all the right initiatives are being put. You're working in partnership with the right countries here in the region. And I can only assume that with the relationship that India has with the Middle East or the GCC countries, it's only going to get better from here on. So before I could move into, yes. So I just wanted to understand, would any of our panelists would like to add a comment or would like to have a question addressed to Dr. Tarun Bajaj? Okay, good. So we have Dr. Afua Asare, who just logged in. And before we go into the next session, I would like to make a quick introduction. Dr. Asare, thank you. And Dr. Asare is the Chief CEO of Ghana Export Promotion Authority, also known as JEPA. She sits on a number of academic and corporate boards like South Africa Advisory Board, World Business Angels Investment Forum, Ghana Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Advisory Board on Trade, Investment Support Institute of ITC Ghana, Data Protection Agency, and many more. We're glad to have you on board and welcome on board, Dr. Asare. And just a quick fact, an interesting fact about Dr. Asare. She's a corporate and cross-culture trainer and a strategy enthusiast, and extensive knowledge in integrating communication and organizational development. So glad you could join us here, and I will be coming to you with questions that I have shortly. And thank you. So now, thank you, Dr. Bajaj. I would like to move on to addressing Mr. Sauro Sarwade. Yeah, you ready, sir?
Hi.
So, Mr. Sarwade, we know that Italy is the 9th largest exporter to the Middle East, and with some very, very strong trade relationship between the regions, correct? So, how do you think the nature of the trade or export capabilities have changed post-COVID-19? I'm asking because when it comes to export of agriculture-based products into the Middle East, Could you help us understand if you see more opportunities in the Middle East market for Italian products and any challenges in currently addressing them?
Okay, I try to answer to your question. First of all, greetings from Italy, greetings from Florence, and thank you very much for your invitation. Thank you very much for Middle East Organic and Natural Expo for the invitation. I'm so proud to be present today with you. I would like to introduce my answer with a brief presentation of Artex, because I think that gives me the opportunity to underline our activity concerning the quality of the Italian company. I'm Sauro Servadei, and I work since 1994 in Artex. Artex is the center of artistic and traditional handicraft of Tuscany. We was born in 1987 by the will of CNA and Confartigianato, the two main Italian associations for micro, small, and medium enterprises. Our goal is to promote, support, and develop a micro, small, medium company-sized business, both Tuscan and Italian, through projects carried out both in Italy and abroad. Our business mainly concerns the sector which in Italy is defined, is called as artistic and traditional sector, and which in general concern the home production, furniture, all the produce for home, jewelry, and naturally food sector is a very important part of the traditional sector. Over the year, we have carried out a lot of different projects within the main foreign market, Europe, USA, China. We started to our experience in the UAE in 2004. Now I consider UAE, Dubai, and especially Dubai and Sharjah, my second house. Every time I'm there, I feel very fine, very relaxed. It's my second house after Florence, after Italy. We started with the show. The name of the show was Italian organizer in cooperation with Italian Trade Commission, Italian Chamber of Commerce, and Sharjah Expo Center. The name of the show was Italian Lifestyle in the Emirates. It was the first fair dedicated exclusively to Italian companies in the furniture sector, furnishing accessories, gift, and of course, food. It was a good success. Our idea, continued over the years, has always been to present not only individual companies and products, but to promote the Italian lifestyle with its culture, its history, and is very, very, very high quality. We continued to promote the Italian products with another event called the Italian Luxury Interiors, dedicated to the Italian company of the furniture sector. We started in Abu Dhabi, and for 1 year in 2010, and after for 3-4 years, we went to Dubai and Madinah Jumeirah Hotel and the Ritz Hotel. Okay, there is a very important aspect that I would like to underline strongly. The Italian industry is made up for 90% of a lot of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. They have a lot of strengths, such as quality, flexibility, the ability to respond in real time to market demands, even with the customized products. But the same companies have, at the same time, many weaknesses due to the small size, the poor financial endowment, the difficulty of having an internal organization capable of successfully dealing with foreign markets. I give you an example for all that regard Tuscany. In Tuscany, as regards the artistic and traditional sector, we have 20,201 companies that now are active in Tuscany, with a total of 106,748 employees. Of these 20,000 companies, only 192 have more than 15 employees. Just to give you an idea about the industry sector of Italy, about the quality, the organization of our company. It's very, 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 very small company. At the beginning of the year, in January, we started to promote in Tuscany and in Italy the second edition of the Italian Taste Experience. It was a fair organized by Artex in cooperation with the Tuscan government, CNA, Confartigianato, and Italian Trade Commission, dedicated to the excellence of Tuscan and Italian food farming sector. It was a good success, a lot of exhibitors, a lot of visitors, also buyers from Italy and from Europe. As you can imagine, the explosions of coronavirus has unfortunately radically changed the situation, tragically distorting normal commercial relationship and effectively eliminated the calendar of fair in the world. Today, we are transforming Italian Taste Experience into a virtual fair. And we are creating a digital platform capable of promoting, despite all difficulty of the case, the meeting between company and buyers. There is no doubt the situation is very difficult. International trade has slowed down very strongly, especially in Italy. Now in Italy, we are living a very, very, very hard economic situation. And at the present, it's very difficult to identify positive elements in a medium-term perspective. Nonetheless, I believe that all of us can draw useful indication from this situation. Also with regard to the role that in this situation, trade fair could take on. Trade fair could take on. I speak about trade because in my experience, more than 20 years, I think that the fairs are one of the most important instruments to promote the company. For the company, small, micro, medium, big, the fair remain, I think, at the moment, the best way to promote themselves, especially in the foreign market. I try to explain myself. The Middle East market, with particular reference to the United Arab Emirates, is settling for the Italian companies in the food farming sector, agri-food sector, a very important market with great margins for growth. In the meantime, in Italy, we have a lot of companies that started to promote organic products. We pay a lot of attention to the habitat, to the quality of life, to the quality of produce. So the internal market of biological product is a very rich market at the moment. At the same time, beyond all the suggestions relating to the made in Italy, the Italian lifestyle, the quality of our food, we must be aware that the Middle Eastern market is a very demanding market, a very difficult market within which there is a huge international competition. Our products, I would like to reply to Mr. Tarun, are very expensive products. So we know that Italian products are very expensive, but because we think that we produce one of the most quality produce in the world. But we know that when we go to the UAE, we have to afford a very big, very large, very important competition. And this mainly applies to smaller and less organized Italian companies. Because it's very difficult for them to face a demanding market such as the market of the United Arab Emirates. And then the role of the fairs, and when I speak, I think also to the organic and natural, your fair, I think that is very important now because in particular with the reference to those dedicated to food, the role of the fairs could be to transform themselves into a real platform, active every day of the year, even after the days of physical development of the events, capable of promoting the meeting between exhibitors and buyers. I think of fairs as a fundamental moment to help exhibiting companies, especially the smaller ones, to face the market with the appropriate knowledge and tools. It's very easy for a company, also for the Italian company, for a company of everywhere in the world, to come to participate, to attend a fair in Dubai, in Sharjah, in Abu Dhabi. It's very easy. It's very difficult to arrive there with all the tools to afford the market in the right way. I think this is the real focus. I think that fairs as a very important moment to help exhibiting company. Therefore, I think so fair no longer and only as exhibitor spaces, but also as trainings opportunities, able to put exhibiting companies in a position to know the market well, with these characteristics, the chain, the distribution chain, the buyers, the quality of the buyers, the needing of these buyers. This is very important for the fairs. At the same time, one of the tasks of the fair and their organizer could be to really promote the meeting between exhibitors and buyers, carrying out an intense activity aimed at identifying the most interesting companies and products for them. Maybe I'm perhaps too much optimist. I'm an incurable optimist, but I believe that even from such a difficult situation as that related to coronavirus, we all have something to learn. But above all, we all have something to offer. Italian companies, with their quality, their exclusive products, their imagination, have much to offer to the Middle East market. However, they needed to get in touch with the expert subjects from whom they can be trained if necessary and helped in a path capable of identifying the right buyer. I spoke to a lot of 100 of Italian company that in the past year attended the show in Dubai. Oh, it was a great show, very well organized, a lot of people, very important. But I understand that if I don't know a buyer, I don't know people that can really help me to present there, I can do nothing with my own. So perhaps trade fairs can become the real moment when we can match company, with the market, with buyer. I think this is the challenge that those who operate in the reality of trade fair, even in the United Arab Emirates, should take up from here to the next few years. Fairs as the best and the most important tools to help the company to enter the foreign market, also in the demanding market as UAE.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Sarvadi. I mean, there was a lot of information here, and some of which I could pick up was your initiative to promote Italian food or Italian products, starting with Italy, the Italian taste experience. Unfortunately, the current, the COVID-19 situation, put on hold the expectations or the vision that you had, but not necessarily, they've all gone. I mean, obviously, you're working with the right infrastructure and the right strategy to bring it back to life and to move forward with the initial vision that you've had. It is a challenging economy. I think we all agree for all nations, individuals, and every country, region is putting the right effort, the right strategy in place. We will all, be surely and soon be out of it. If we have the right efforts in place. Talking about your products, expensive products, yes, Italian products are expensive. But once again, I think you would, all of us would agree that they're expensive for a reason. It has a different value proposition, and the idea here is to educate the audience and help them understand why you're expensive. Once this is done, I don't see a reason why your products shouldn't sell, right? We're obviously there to help you, guide you, take you through the process of how we can do this with the entire challenge of, connecting to the buyer or identifying the buyer. That's why we are here, right? Your priorities, your challenges may not necessarily be the same as Dr. Bajaj or Mr. Siafat's priorities and challenges. They could be different, and we'll address them differently. We would like to see more products here within the food, and the organic sector or vertical in the UAE, and we can support you in all aspects. Maybe we could discuss this at a later stage. Would any of the panelists have any questions for Mr. Sarvadi, or any comments that you would like to make? Okay. Let's move on to our next panelist, Mr. Fan Chen. Hello, Mr. Fan Chen. You've waited quite a bit now. Sorry about that. So, Mr. Fan Chen, remarkably interesting statistics over there when it comes down to the export numbers. 4,500 plus containers of non-perishable fruits and vegetables exported annually. China has a very strong trade presence in the Middle East and is amongst the top 3 exporters of food products into the UAE. East China Food Exporters Association export globally, right? And among the countries you export to, how much of the market share does the Middle East region have? And do you see a growing demand for export towards this region? My question is, what measures are currently taken to address the logistical challenges that you have, or are there any at all?
Okay, firstly, thanks for your invitation for the digital trade here, and let us to get more information and to discuss with each others, and hope everybody aware. And as for us, I have a PPT that can show. Let me show the PPT. Actually, for a Middle East region, we export about it runs about 20% from our association, and it's the same as the EU market and East and South Asian market, and for USA it may occupy 40%, and now we already see a strong growing demand from Middle East region. Actually, and the epidemic crisis, we think to know the market trend and popular items that will help us to find new opportunities, and also help us to know how to address the challenges. So as for Dubai is a trade hub in the Middle East. The UAE gathers commodities from all over the world, among which the food category is also an indispensable part of the country's imports. Unlike other countries, the UAE's own agriculture and food processing industries are very small, and so agricultural products and other food categories mainly rely on import. We conducted a quantitative study on the main food categories imported by the UAE and wrote the report, providing an overview of the UAE's food imports and retail trade, and providing data reference for Chinese food export companies and our members. For China, beer is one of the main sources of UAE food imports, only behind the United States and India, supplying 6.5% of local demand in 2019, totally more than 300 million US dollars. Since March 2020, due to the impact of the international epidemic on exports, the import volume and proportion of Chinese food in the UAE have been further increased. In April, it has occupied 20% of the import market. And for the demand from the eating habits due to the local cooking habits and settlement of a large international population, there is a huge demand for tomato sauce, ketchup, and various spices. In 2020, we have got some inquiries from Middle East that maybe move from India, because that China may be the first countries to be get up from the virus, and now maybe I think we know that China, the factories opened and maybe back to 80% compared with last year. So now, like the production areas of peppers, chili, and other spices, also the supply was once tight due to the epidemic. It was now recovered. For the foods such as saffron and highly important local cooking materials, domestic companies need to pay attention to choosing suitable target customers when exporting. And actually, for the honey is one of our many products from our members. And for the last, it's the most popular, like the peanuts and for the syrup, candies. That's also the very important categories in the Middle Eastern countries. And these foods have been out of stock from April, providing new opportunities for Chinese companies to enter the market. At the beginning of April, the UAE imposed strict travel restrictions for 2 weeks, and the door-to-door delivery of food and medicine was not included in the restrictions. Affected by this, local people's favorite peanut snacks, super soft drinks, and fruit juice are selling hard, among which the soft drinks are out of stock. And we can say that the UAE food trade 2020 overall situation import trends. From here, we can find that Dubai food import trends it decreased 36% in April, but for China that exports to Dubai, it increased 45% in April. And now China is the third countries that for the food export to UAE countries, and China exports to Dubai in its 38 increased 38 in March, and 56% increase in April compared with last year. And they now for our peanuts, tomato sauce, fresh fruit, also some soft drink and juice to our members. That's maybe the new opportunities for us to increase the quantity to UAE countries. And in July, we think that for UAE countries, the food that we export maybe increased more than 50%, and now it's not like the USA market, because for us, Royal Food is we had office in USA and China, and also have Chinese branch in central China. We have the food bank orders from USA, and the retail chains orders from USA. So maybe they get more like almost doubled in July, and now in UAE it also increased 15%, and now we think from Dubai we can get the more chance and opportunities, not only from GCC countries, and also from the East and from the West and North Africa countries. It's they all can, like the companies in Dubai, they will get the more demand from the Africa countries and from the GCC countries. And here is a brief introduction for us, because for UAE, the main products for us is the canned vegetables. It's not like the customers in EU countries or in USA countries. For UAE countries, they usually ship the cargoes like 10 containers together, or and in a short time to ship all the booked cargoes. It's not like the USA or EU countries that they will ship the cargoes for the whole year. So, and now we are looking for get more inquiries and more demand for the also for the beverage, the food concentrated and the fruit juice and the dried fruits and nuts. So for us, we want for our Chinese companies, we want to keep the increasing of the traditional items like the green tea, the canned food, and the frozen food, and also we are looking for to get new opportunities for some new items, just like the spices. Chinese is the biggest garlic export countries, so we are looking for the more spices and also some nuts and juice for the cooperation of UAE countries, and many through Dubai to get like a window to show more Chinese cargoes in UAE countries. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Fenchen. Well, I couldn't help notice the month of April. I mean, while the market was pretty, a lot of constraints or restrictions in travel, imports of, you capitalized on it, and you obviously found a way to increase the exports by 20% into the region. Quite impressive over there. Obviously, we are here to help you, obviously launch and introduce new products into the market. We always talk about it, at a later stage, and see how we can help. Any questions from our panelists at the moment? Any comments that you would like to make?
Well, if I may, one of the things and responsibilities, as mentioned before by Abhishek, was our international offices, and we do have one in Shanghai and one in Shenzhen, but we want to work and bring our businesses closer together. And also we have offices all over the world. So the products are, as mentioned before, they will not just be coming to UAE, we can facilitate into new export markets. We also have an office in Ghana and in Mozambique and so on and so forth. So we will be happy to crisscross and connect partners as long as there is something in it for Dubai and our members. So we'd be happy to help.
Great, Mr. Khan. Always glad to know. So we will definitely, once again connect all of the panelists just in case. So, Mr. Moar Khan's team can obviously list out the different kinds of services or help or assistance the office could provide, the Dubai Chambers could provide. Now, moving on to Dr. Afua Asari. So it's your turn now. So Dr. Asari, it's a pleasure having you here. And as you are aware, the Organic and Natural Product Expo have been and are working with JEPA over the last few years, bringing manufacturers, producers from Ghana to explore trade opportunities in the Middle East. Right? So with our existing partnership at the Natural and Organic Expo, we understand that Ghana Export Promotion Authority clearly see a lot of potential and opportunities in the Middle East region. We have noticed as of 2019, UAE was ranked among the top 10 countries in export revenue for Ghana, right? So we see some of your top export products being cocoa, oil, nut, meat, seafood, natural cosmetics, and more. Quite obviously, there's a lot of export potential for Ghana in the GCC market. considering the UAE alone has a market size little about $4 million for organic and natural food and beverage. The forecasted sale at 11.6% from 2017 to 2022. So we would like to understand from you, as the Export Promotion Authority, in terms of your capabilities to capitalize on such opportunities, in the Middle East market. Anything that you have, prioritized for countries like UAE, Saudi Arabia, for the food sector, or for the natural product sector?
Thank you very much, and I'm very happy once again to be here. Indeed, we have a very good relationship. Ghana and the UAE have signed about 5 cooperation agreements aimed at deepening the bonds of friendship between the two countries. The government of Ghana had embarked on an aggressive public-private partnership program, one of which is the One District, One Factory, and also planting for food and jobs. And these are yielding very, very good dividends for the country. And we believe that planting for food and jobs alone is helping us come out with a lot of produce and products, which is going to allow us and give us opportunity to even export more out of our country, as well as attract investment for the development of Ghana's critical infrastructural needs, especially in the agri sector. I want to tell you a bit about the Ghana Export Promotion Authority. This is an agency under the Ministry of Trade and Industries, which has been mandated to facilitate and promote Ghanaian exports to earn more foreign exchange by focusing primarily on diversifying Ghana's export base from the traditional products of raw cocoa, timber, and precious minerals and oil to value-added products. And GEPA has been on the scene for the past 50 years. So it's a very old organization. And we are very, very interested in trade fairs and market missions, because that is how we are able to introduce our products and services on the international market. So one of our key mandates is to coordinate the participation of Ghanaian businesses to international trade shows and exhibitions. And through this, we are able to secure sustainable business contacts established between these Ghanaian exporters and their foreign buyers. And Ghana's participation in MENOPE, as you know, has been always very good. Ghana has participated in the MENOPE twice already, and looking forward to the third in December 2020. You will agree with me that our continuous presence in the UAE signifies Ghana's commitment to trade and investment cooperation between the two countries. At GEPA, our existing partnership at the Natural and Organic Expo has been quite impressive. We are, however, still looking forward to experience more of that potential and the opportunities that exist in the Middle East. In 2019, Ghana presented 14 exporters in the agro industry, especially the natural and organic product sector. We came with cocoa, we came with oil, nuts, natural cosmetics, and more, where we received a substantial patronage and also received the Minister for Agri at the Ghana stand. Agribusiness, as you know, is one of our main focus areas, and we classify the agricultural sector as our most diverse and strategic sector, with over 100 products in horticulture, fruits, vegetables, medicinal plants, tubers, roots, etc. This is a very, very extensive value chain. And to promote these products, we have put in place the National Export Development Strategy. This is with a view to expand to district level export capacity, to build the districts, all the districts we want them to come up with what pertains there. So we look at each district and see what product is pertaining in this district, what product is growing well in this district, and then we've developed the product from the district level. And so that it will be a broad-based thing. We are cutting across every district in Ghana. The priority products under this strategy includes processed cocoa. We are talking about cashew, processed and in-shell. We are talking about horticultural products, oil seeds, processed oil seeds. That is, and then we have fish and fishery products as well. We are talking about services. Services has become so important to us now. We are also looking at pharmaceutical products. When I talk about services, I want to touch on our educational systems here, which are touted as one of the best, especially our universities. So we are selling our universities now. We are selling health. We are talking about pharmaceutical products. We are talking about tourism, all of these, and other processed agricultural products. So among the supply chain capacity development interventions undertaken, that's with a view to improve our supply base for the export market so far. We have included the cashew development plan. So we are giving free seedlings to farmers. We are helping them by spraying the farms and making sure that we give them everything that they need for the cashew to thrive and grow well and produce as much as it can. So this is the support that the government is giving through GEPA, is giving to the cashew farmers under the cashew development plan. And we have the pineapple as well. So we are supplying them highly subsidized supply of smooth cayenne sakes, that's a pineapple sakes, disease-free. We are doing same with vegetables. We are doing same with coconuts. We are doing same with yam. So the government is basically supplying seedlings and sakes of pineapples and other vegetables, disease-free and highly subsidized to farmers to help them boost the production of these agriculture produce. We are also supporting with global gap certification. In fact, everything that is supposed to support them to come up with good yields for export is being done. The government is doing its part. Our ultimate goal for these interventions is to increase the production volumes of our agro-based products, position Ghana as a quality source of well-grown natural organic products, in addition to other remarkable agricultural produce that we are known for. I also want you to know that GEPA's program for 2020 is aligned to the National Export Development Strategy and takes into consideration the major synergies outlined in the strategy document, particularly the key programs outlined, which is the formulation of our strategy. And formulating our strategy, we are always looking at helping the exporters, how we can build a capacity for key institutions responsible for the implementation of that National Export Development Strategy. We are looking at marketing support to strategic government initiative programs. We are looking at projects for positioning Ghana's export goods and services, especially when we are hosting the African Free Trade Continental Area headquarters, and GEPA happens to be sharing the same building with this organization. We think it is our opportunity, an opportunity for us to take advantage of after, and we are positioning our exporters to do just that. So we are strengthening the export capacity and performance of the horticultural sector, and strengthening and expanding the outreach of our export school, which we have had for many years now. We think that it is about time that we got very close to the UAE, and I was happy to hear about the office here in Ghana. I think we should get closer to that office in Ghana and work closely with you in order to understand the products that are needed on your market. Although we've been there a couple of times, we haven't really gotten what much of what we think we could have. We haven't pushed too much into UAE as far as I'm concerned. And I think we can do better when we get closer to the office in Ghana and understand the markets in the UAE and what we should do by way of certification, by way of standards, by way of presentation, because something ought to help us to get into the market as fully as we expect. And I think it is only by getting closer to understanding what the UAE market requires that we can do that. There are a couple of times that we have had orders that had been a little bit difficult for us to meet, and we need to get fully involved with that office to understand what we really have to do. Because I know that there's a huge market there that we can take advantage of. And finally, I'm very happy to be part of this whole program.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Asare. I think Mr. Omar Khan's office would be more than happy to connect with you in Ghana. And I will coordinate with Mr. Khan to point me in the right direction as to who would be the person responsible to take the conversation forward with yourself and the team. So that support will always be there. We can do this as an immediate action plan so that we start a discussion with Mr. Omar's representative office. And would you like to add anything, Mr. Khan?
Just thank you for reaching out, and I think we've worked with Cocoa Board, we've worked with GIPC, and we hope to work further as well with you, Doctor.
I know you work a lot with GIPC, yeah. And I'm very jealous.
Don't get your fair share.
But I was there the first day that you opened the office. I was there, but I realized that you tilt more towards GIPC. But I think you should be working as well with GEPA.
Definitely. And Mr. Cyril Darkwa is probably watching here, and so he'll probably get in touch with you today or tomorrow.
I'll be very grateful. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Dr. Asare. Any comments or questions for Dr. Asare?
Maybe I could jump in. Thank you for being here, Dr. Asare. I was posted in Accra just before coming to Dubai. So I know of the products you speak of, and beautiful, beautiful products. And I know you benefit from a direct Emirates flight when times are good. This will be your connection. Getting Emirates on your side, getting the underbelly of those planes will get products such as beautiful products from Blue Skies. I worked a great deal with them to try to get them to the U.S. So this is a very good market to put a toehold in the region.
Yes.
And one other comment I would like to bring together, I think from the whole group, and I'd like to keep Dr. Baja's attention, because I know I can see the containers he's already made deals with coming in. While I'm sitting here just watching, I should have my phone as well. But Soro and Mr. Chen and all of us, I think what we want is the opportunity that the UAE represents to all of us. Is to access to not only a very special market, but the market it explores around the region. But one important thing is what Soro was talking about, these small companies, these boutique companies, these mom and pop companies. And organic and natural is almost 95% these kinds of companies. The great idea, or that family value and tradition, that old one that's been in the family, or in the case in the U.S., an immigrant family that's come up with a new product and is selling, such as sriracha, around the world. But they're small companies, and when they come to a new market like this, it's the small company that gets hit by the regulation, the quality mark, the equivalency standard, all of these small things are loaded up on the small company, whereas the big multinational, they make do. They can fill the shelves. But we have seen before COVID the problem that this kind of regulation diminishes choice here in Dubai. So I don't spend my time working with the big American companies, because they're fine. It's the producers and the small companies that are showing up in Gulf Food and hopefully in your show as well, that need that special attention. So that additional fee that is for the product, not the size of the product coming in. So if it's container after container, it's a cheap investment. But for the small mom and pop, it's a killer. And it's hard for me to advocate for a small company to come and explore this market if that weight is on them. So I think that fits all of us. And especially, those unique different things where you need to take a chance on that product. There's one example, it isn't in a food product, but it's in a concept. I come from the US and I'm a big fan of the Shake Shack. But I come from a part of the country where we were waiting for Shake Shack and all of that. And when I was in Ghana, I got a picture from the front page of my hometown newspapers saying Shake Shack came to Main Street, my town. All right. Then I leave Ghana and I come here and Shake Shack is everywhere. Shake Shack was bigger in Dubai before it was in the States and in the region because they grab the best idea and grow it. And the thing that kills those things are the small fees along the way. And when COVID came along, those were the things that were taken aside. The chamber helped, taking aside so that things were moving fast. And so to retain diversity, interesting products, let's give attention to that they don't creep back and bring down demand on those special products from Italy and from India and from China and from Ghana.
I could add to this. We're working very hard now with the food and beverage groups. They publish also documentations about the challenges. And no doubt, as you said, you can spread the cost of the investment across containers. It makes sense. Another challenge is all the SKU registrations on the big supermarket shelves that are established. Now with online e-commerce for food, companies like InstaShop, which are made in Dubai, El Grocer, and many others, they have now diversified and open access to people coming with new products to go directly to the customers. So then now they have everything from pharmaceuticals to fresh meat. You've seen it in Kibson. So then now there's a lot of warehouse to customer accessibility, and the big guys have been shaken up a bit. And I think people like that, the middle person, such as InstaShop and whoever, they give access. And that means new SKUs coming, products coming from outside with a little bit of a connection through the chambers, through all your partners. We can actually get them to the customer without having to pay all those enormous fees just to be on that shelf real estate. So that's something we can continues to work on. And hopefully we don't take a step back after things get better.
Excellent, excellent.
Thank you once again, and thank you once again, Kurt, to add that bit of advice here. I think, as you mentioned, chambers for the UAE government are putting a lot of efforts to identify these small companies in a growing fashion, facing a challenge with different costs, right? So that being said, we could see a lot more products produced over here, which probably we would not have expected previously. So that being said, there are a couple of questions. There are a couple of questions from the audience, but I would like to be mindful on the time. We are about 13 minutes ahead of schedule. So I think I would just put across two questions and then we would call it a wrap. So the first question would be for Mr. Omar Khan, right? It's in the times of the pandemic, has this shift affected the moving of food across the Arab countries? I mean, does that explain the question fully to you?
Well, yes. I mean, in the times of the pandemic, we had some challenges, and we had some challenges, for example, through the ports, for example, of India. But to get the products there, and we worked very close. But it was because of the lockdown specifically, and the ports were operating at physically 30% of the labor. So we have to understand, but then we have to make do. And then also borders is when there was a GCC agreement as well, even including Qatar, where they had some agreements about food security and what takes precedence. in this kind of situation. Like I said, if you don't have enough challenges, your muscles, you don't go to the gym every day and face challenges, your muscles get weaker. And I think Dubai is always it's always having new challenges and welcoming them and always trying to find new solutions. So we try to always maintain the supply chain, because again, it's our oxygen. Like I said, we feed more people than we have, whether it's through the tourists that come here and sample the beautiful products from India, from Italy, from Florence, and different places like semifreddos, from fresh mandorla, and so on and so forth. But then we're a transshipment hub. So we're very mindful that that is our lifeline and we must maintain it. So we keep relationships good across chambers, the International Chamber of Commerce, across all associations, private sectors, the federal bodies, the local bodies, and even beyond that as well. And we have to do that. It's part of our survival.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. And a question for Dr. Bajaj. I'm assuming it's coming in from an SME who's looking into exports. So how are you supporting small businesses in India, or what incentives have you implemented for businesses in India to enter the Middle East market? I'm assuming the answer should already be on your portal, but you could just make it brief for them, to help them to guide them. Yeah.
Recently, our government has announced a special package for SMEs, for MSMEs. Special package has been announced by our Honorable Prime Minister also to support them, not only for export also, but for domestic industries development as well. Of course, in a way, they will also be developed to go for exports in the coming times. Many packages has been announced for their economic packages for, we have given interest subvention scheme is there. Then infrastructure development scheme is there. Helping them guidance, also in a way helping them in marketing. So all that schemes which are there, packages are there. Various government, the RBI, our RBI has also announced banking solutions to them. So a lot of packages in the coming time, especially during this time, has been announced for MSMEs and SMEs, so that they are able to develop industries, startup companies also, so that they can do business, develop business, because we see the future is there for a domestic market and gradually also grow up for export purposes. And when they say export purposes, of course, the first destination is Middle East.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Dr. Bajaj. And the last question for the session before we call it a wrap is obviously for Mr. Kurt Siafat. So we have a gentleman who would like to know if you have a dedicated platform where they could identify the approved USDA approved organic products available in the region or in UAE. A list of products.
A list of currently available products within the region?
Yes.
USDA approved. USDA approved. Well, it's easy to find out if the product is USDA approved because we do have the logo, and this makes it certainly easy to trace. We can certainly give you anyone wanting to contact my office or the Organic Trade Association can find out the products that are available in the market. As you know, these relationships are built on trade shows such as yours, and the relationship that a product has with a importer is determined. But at any one time, if there's no show available, if there's no time or energy, please contact my office and we'll let you know what's available, certainly, and then put you in contact if you have an idea of a type of product. The U.S. organic market is everything you can imagine, from hard products to processed foods, as well as the basic ingredient for further production. Too much to articulate here. But, thank you.
They've actually been very particular on the kind of product, which is layered chicken feed. So probably I'll get an email after this, and if you have,
Please do contact my office, because you can't hear her laughing right now, but Rana and my staff, she's saying she has somebody for you.
Okay, great. Okay, so sorry, you were saying?
It's just a popular product. Definitely
Okay.
a sport.
Okay, interesting. So great. I think we would let's call this a wrap. So a big thank you to all the panelists for being a part of this show, for taking time away from your busy schedule, making it happen, and most importantly, being so informative in terms of your initiatives, your efforts and visions, and how you could help business grow in this region, or exporters come into the region and explore opportunities. Now, and to the audience, once again, thank you. Apologies, we could not answer all of your questions. Just being a little mindful on the time, and we will do our best to reply to you in response email to help answer any further questions that you have. Just to add a small note before we could wrap, this only shows, with the discussion, this only shows the demand and the interest that there is for the organic and natural products. And basically, we will further strengthen the online trade community. Stay tuned with us, and also see the Organic Expo coming up in the month of December. We have a lot more digital activities coming up in the next couple of days, and we will share the schedule with you. It's very product specific or sector specific. So depending on where your line of interest is, you could register accordingly. And if you would like to know more about the Digital Trade Week or the Organic and Natural Product Expo, feel free to click on the Get Involved button, or alternatively contact us at info@organicandnatural.com. And once again, thank you all, and we'll keep in touch, and have a lovely evening. Take care.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the opportunity. See you. Bye.
Bye.